And hello everyone, I'm Brior and welcome back to Goodgame Empire. It's been a while, specifically it's been since about the end of April that I have played the game with any fervor. But I'm back now, and I thought I would return in style with a live stream, so here we are. A quick note for people who are indeed watching live, if you could let me know in the chat if you could hear me, I'd appreciate that. That way I'll know that everything's working and we can proceed. So, since I've been away since the end of April, I suppose the question I should ask is how have you all been doing? I've been doing great, thank you. So this live stream is intended to ask and answer some questions about where I've been for the past few months, why it is that I stopped playing, why it is that I'm back, and what I missed while I was away, including the server war and new updates to the game. I'm issuing myself a special challenge for this live stream. Normally live streams end up being anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes of me rambling, and I don't actually play the game all that much, so my special challenge is to actually play the game, see how well I can manage both things. But I can see that chat can hear me, so without further ado, let's jump right into it and answer some of those questions. I'm sure that the question you all want me to begin with is where have I been since the end of April? The easy answer is that in May, I was dealing with final exams at college, and then after that, I got a full-time internship. It's actually the first time in my life that I've worked full-time, and the internship is in the field that I hope to work in the future, so it's kind of a big deal. I've been spending all of my time doing that, and the sound booth that I'm in right now that I like to record in with this nice high-quality microphone is open during the very same hours that I have to work, so that's been kind of frustrating. Those have been big reasons why I haven't been making videos, but if I'm honest with you, the real reason is that around the end of April, I fell out of step with the game. I was a bit disillusioned with it, wasn't really enjoying it, and it's hard to keep making videos when you're not having fun, so I do think that it made a lot of sense for me to step away, which obviously I did. I have to fix my preset here for the Sorceress Commanders. Give me just a moment to do that. And while I was away for a few months, I came to the realization that I didn't really miss the game so much, but I did miss making videos, and I certainly received a lot of messages from all of you begging for me to keep going. Some of them indicated a sense of entitlement. You feel entitled to these free videos. That's not the case. But those of you who told me how much you had learned from my channel, how much you appreciated the videos, all of that kind of stuff, that motivated me to come back, which I'm doing now. And beyond that, I really did miss making videos, the process of putting together something, the fact that here on YouTube I have this creative outlet. All of that has motivated me to return. So here I am. So what's happened since I've been away? That's a good question. Well, I suppose we should talk about the server war first. I got so many messages requesting a video about that, but at around the time the server war was ending, I was really not happy with the game. I wasn't happy with the updates that were coming out at the time. It didn't seem like there was a lot of actual content coming. Instead, there were just a bunch of money-grubbing features, and I made a video back earlier in the year called Is Goodgame Empire Pay to Win? And I talked about how the balance of the game was shifting in favor of ruby whales. And in the process of making that video, I came to believe that argument. In the process of seeing how much money people spent during the server war, I came to believe that argument again. That contributed to my unhappiness in the game. So anyways, I was not in the position to make a video at the time the server war ended, which is why my comments on the matter are so late. And I wasn't particularly active in the game either, so to be frank with you, I didn't really experience the end of the server war. My account may even actually have been birded at that time. However, I have spoken with a number of people who did experience the end of the server war, and I'm able to tell you a little bit about what happened. So why don't I do that? So, before I do that, actually, I should talk about my previous server war videos. I think it would be a good transition. And the truth is that not everyone liked my previous server war videos. I made one talking about how the war had opened up again, and I made another talking about my predictions as to whether or not the tool burning campaign would work. My alliance and its allies were sending lots of tool burning attacks as a way of harming big ruby buyers in the Kingdom of Neff. And when I made that video, I actually caught wind of my superiors complaining. Not everyone likes the fact that I share tips about the game even. Some people tend to think of it as trade secrets. They don't like that information being broadcasted on YouTube. And certainly when I'm covering an active, ongoing war, it can be a tricky situation. But making these videos is one of the reasons, in fact, might be the only reason that I'm still playing this game. So it's what I do. I try and be respectful and selective about it, but I make the videos and, yeah, try to be as careful as I can. So let's make this video about the server war. Turns out, our tool burning campaign was pretty effective. We sent hundreds, if not thousands of attacks, small ones every day. Not only is it annoying to deal with the incoming horn 24/7, but it also slows the game down a lot. And speaking of which, I'm not sure if I should bring attention to this or not, because more people will do it, but sending me resources as a way of appearing on the stream, well, I get that it's fun. If I have a million yellow arrows, my game will really start to lag, and this will become more difficult. So please, if you would, please don't send me resources, thank you. I will open up my messages at the end, so if you want to shout out, you can send me a message. Anyways, so the tool burners were really slowing down the game, I'm sure, for the players of the Kingdom of Neff, and it was a war of attrition. Eventually, we whittled down their players. More and more were going under the bird. We stole royal towers from them, although, of course, in order to capture property, you really need to steal all but 2 or 3 royal towers, if you're not familiar. The purpose of royal towers is to provide a bonus on capture attacks against metropolises and capitals. So we were collecting those bit by bit, but we were surprised first to see so many mergers so early into the war. If you'll remember, Dream Team was involved in the war from the beginning, and within a very short time indeed compared to previous wars, they folded into the Kingdom of Neff. They're big players, those who perhaps possessed property like metros and capitals, joined the Kingdom of Neff. The leaders of Dream Team were given leadership positions in the Kingdom of Neff, and quite quickly, Dream Team itself, while we remained at war, kind of dropped out of the war. We never saw any more attacks from them, and at some point I believe they requested peace. I'm not sure if it was eventually granted or not. So Dream Team was out of it, and that was a huge morale boost. We, on the side of the Misk and the Unnamed, saw that we were making progress, and that encouraged us to continue, so continue we did. Soon we saw mergers among the sub-alliances of the Kingdom of Neff, just as had happened in the previous war, but it became apparent that this war was going to be different when the alliance Nephilites merged into Nephilim. And if you're not familiar, Nephilim was previously called Kingdom of Neff 2. If you go back, watch some of my older videos, you will see that it's my old alliance, so I knew some of the players there, and I saw many of them quit. Was sad to see that happened, but by the time the server war broke out again, Kingdom of Neff 2 was really a different alliance. But the reason that this indicated to us that the server war was going to be different this time is because those mergers happened way earlier on, and they happened to alliances that hadn't previously merged. For example, eventually Nephilim, which included Nephilites by that point, merged into the main Kingdom of Neff alliance. That was a huge sign that things weren't going as planned. As more and more players in the Kingdom of Neff went under the bird, the support that they had to spread out among Royal Towers was diminished. You can't support other players, nor can you support Royal Towers if you're under the bird. And so by the time 20 or so players in the Kingdom of Neff were birded, they were actually having trouble holding on to lots of their Royal Towers. With less and less support there, we were able to snipe quite a few and hold on to them. I showed you in a previous video how Morenz actually stole a metro from Negan and held on to it, and then Negan bought a whole bunch of troops using her credit card, but Morenz and the Misk were able to support the metro by that time, and even Ruby Whaling could not get that Royal Tower back for the Kingdom of Neff. So we were making progress, but it wouldn't be fair to say that the war was entirely one-sided. We didn't see a lot of traditional attacks from the Kingdom of Neff, at least not here in the Unforgiven, although we heard that the Kingdom of Neff was targeting Asylum, which is one of our alliances that was allied to us in the war, and they had caused a few players to leave, but even Asylum was holding strong, and credit to them for doing so. They actually stuck around for the entire war. They remained active, pretty powerful, and that was huge. Had they folded, morale would have gone down, the Kingdom of Neff would have moved on to the next target, and it's hard telling where it would have gone from there. Of course, I don't think that the Kingdom of Neff ever really could have won the war, just looking at who was on each side at the time that the war broke out. But in order for either side to actually capture property, there needed to be sub-alliances around to hold Royal Towers. One alliance alone can't hold 50 Royal Towers. The players there just won't have enough defending units, although by the end of the war, the Misk had, I think, 25, which was very impressive indeed. But, yeah, so anyways, we were making progress bit by bit, and then a strange message appeared in the description of the Kingdom of Neff. The Kingdom of Neff seemed to implicitly admit that they were struggling in the war, and in fact, it borderlined on surrendering, which was strange. After that, we saw some pretty significant drops in morale from their side. We stopped getting attacks entirely, and from that point onwards, for probably the last month of the server war, it was entirely one-sided, and the Kingdom of Neff was alone. Its subs were gone, or essentially useless by that point, and they were turtling, just like, for example, the Unforgiven had done in a previous war when it was alone, when it didn't have the backing of the Misk against the Kingdom of Neff. So we had their backs to the wall, and it was pretty exciting, although, once again, I will admit that I was not really that active at the time, so I was kind of a bystander at best, and sometimes I missed what was happening in the war. So at some point, and this happened very suddenly, we realized, because all throughout the war we had been sending capture attempts at metros and capitals, and they had landed successfully, but they would always be knocked off. But at some point during the war, we realized that they weren't giving that much effort to defending their Royal Towers anymore, or knocking off these capture attempts. And so that was definitely another turning point. Quite quickly, we secured capture attacks on their metropolises, and we stacked hundreds of thousands of defenders at those locations, and by that point, we had actually captured the metros. There wasn't a whole lot that the Kingdom of Neff could do to get them back. We just had to wait the 12 to 24 hours it takes for the capture attack to actually go through. And so we did. It was very exciting for metros and capitals to be captured by our alliances. Of course, the players who captured them didn't necessarily get to hold on to them. Our leaders decided which alliances, for there were probably 6 or 7 that participated that were going to get property, our alliance leaders decided where each metro and capital would go. The Unforgiven ended up getting property. We got a capital in the Burning Sands and a metropolis for our efforts. They're both now held by our alliance leader, Mike Ram. I suppose that I should speculate as to why the server war came to a close, because I don't think it was just the Misk's doing and its allies, such as the Unnamed and the Unforgiven and Elite Guards and Asylum and everyone else who participated. I think it was actually an internal collapse. I talked earlier about how the Kingdom of Neff merged with Dream Team, and with every merger, it's a bit of a risk, because you don't know whether your alliance members are going to be okay. You don't know whether they're going to get along with the other alliance who you're merging with, and especially when you are giving essentially strangers leadership positions in your alliance, right? Remember, the leadership of Dream Team got leadership positions in the Kingdom of Neff. That can cause some tension, especially with long-term players who think that they deserve the position of deputy instead. We also noticed that the leadership of the Kingdom of Neff was not incredibly active in the game all the time. In fact, a whole bunch of their ruby buyers went under the bird, and that, of course, helped us secure royal towers and eventually capture property. We also noticed that when Nephilites merged with Nephilim, right, those were the 2 biggest sub-alliances of our enemy, there was some drama there, and apparently people didn't always get along. There was some disagreement as to who should hold the crown in that alliance. And so I think that this was just as much of a complete self-destruction as it was a bona fide victory for the Misk. We noticed that when we were capturing the outposts of Kingdom of Neff players, I've made several videos about this in the past, that ruby whales in their alliance, people who could have broken out the credit card and paid money to help their alliance mates save their outposts from being captured, those ruby whales actually never came out from under the bird. They just sat there, they rolled over, they did nothing, and they weren't willing to help their alliance mates. So ultimately, this was a pretty big event on our server, and I'm happy to have played some part of it, although once again, I was rather inactive. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about with the server war is the outcome. Of course, our alliance won, and our alliance families got to keep all of the property. We now own almost everything on the server. So we have a bit of a monopoly on property, but a lot of players were speculating, a lot of YouTube commenters were speculating that it was the end of the server, because after the Misk beat the Kingdom of Neff, there would be no one who could oppose the Misk. All of the top 10 alliances would be allied to one another. PvP would be dead. Of course, no independent alliance in its right mind would attack the Misk. And one by one, the Misk would destroy independent alliances. So, has that been the case? Well, the Kingdom of Neff, I can show you this, has absolutely fallen apart. Yeah, I went to the top of the alliance rankings, but they're not there anymore. As has Dream Team, which has actually changed its name several times. You can see these are all of the leaders of the Kingdom of Neff, and one by one, they'll be under the bird. Dream Team has had quite a hard time as well. I think internal disagreements among their leaders who returned to Dream Team after the server war concluded caused that alliance to suffer, and those leaders went their separate ways. It's also possible that the Misk did not allow them to return to playing the game. Anyone who the Misk felt responsible, who the Misk felt was responsible for the war, could have been forced out of the game, although I don't know that for certain. And so the Dream Team is gone as well, and that was one of the most powerful alliances for quite a number of years. In fact, as far back as I can remember here on the US1 server, Dream Team had held property, and they had been a powerful alliance. So it's actually kind of sad for me to see them gone, but the reason that I wanted to talk about this was because a new alliance has taken their place. Let's go to the top of the alliance rankings and we can see an alliance called Area X. I was debating whether to call this Area 10, as in Roman numeral 10, or Area X, but their description says that they have sub-alliances called Area Y and Area Z. Y and Z, as far as I know, are not Roman numerals, so that indicates to me that this alliance is Area X, so we'll go with that. Anyways, that was a digression. If you look through the roster here, you can see that these are some of the most talented, biggest spending players in the game. And they are mostly former Kingdom of Neff and former Dream Team players, with a few exceptions. And so this alliance here, Area X, has actually been winning many events in the game. Let me see if I can open up the Samurai Invasion for you, which is the event that's currently going on, and they should be at the very top. If you're wondering why I'm taking decorations out of my outpost, I'm going to rearrange it for you here. Anyways, alliance score. Let's go to the ranking of all alliances. Are they at the top? Indeed they are, by quite a margin. And if we look at the new Daimyo invasion, am I able to see what alliances are at the top? That's contracts, alliance rankings. I'm still figuring out this myself. We'll talk about this later on in the stream. Yes, they are at the top as well. So their members are obviously very powerful. They're going to be getting a lot of awards or prizes from all of these events, and I reckon that they will be a force to contend with soon. And you know what? I'm happy about that. I like seeing competition in the game. I wouldn't want the top 10 alliances to all be allied with one another. I'm going to go ahead and start moving my granaries around. You'll see that some of them are quite pitifully low level. Kind of embarrassing. I apologize for that. I am going to talk about that actually later in this video, the massive upgrades that I need to perform on my account because since I've been away for so long. But the long and short of it is I'm very happy to see that other alliances are coming up in the game and that this is not the death of PvP on the US 1 server. I think that covers it for the server war. I will say one more thing, and that is that even though the MISC and its allies do own pretty much all of the property at this point, in fact, we can take a look at the alliance rankings. We can go to command points. Of course, this is where metros, capitals, and the like show up. You can see that the MISC United, Unnamed, Elite Guards, Unforgiven, Asylum, Fluffy Unicorns, I believe Vendetta, there you go, STFU, and even our sub-alliance, Tough LS. All of these alliances were on the winning side of the server war. I think that any alliance that holds a metropolis at this point is in our family or is allied to our family. So even though there is a monopoly of property, I think that to some extent metros, which provide a food bonus if you're not aware, are overrated. Here is the metro bonus for the Unforgiven. Again, my food production is going to show up and it's not that great. But we're getting 500 units of food per hour only in the Green Kingdom from our 2 metropolises. We have 2 in the alliance right now. The real benefit of metros could be, however, that a player in your alliance has an extra castle in which they can build granaries, put in public order. I'm not sure if you can attack from it like a normal castle, although I think that's probably the case. What am I doing here? I'm trying to set this castle up just like my other outposts. I'd like to have a standardized setup. Let's remove some public order items. But anyways, just the fact that a player has an extra castle will make them a lot more powerful. And if a whole bunch of players in your alliance own either a metropolis or a capital, that means that upwards of 30 players could have an additional castle, which is going to contribute to a big increase in might points and a big increase in the overall strength of your alliance. So it could be the case that the MISC will hold on to its property until the end of Goodgame Empire, until the servers shut down. We'll see. Or it could be the case that alliances will bicker among one another. The MISC family itself will split up. I hope not. and the properties will be divided and conquered once again. So alright, I've talked enough about the server war now. Let me talk about some of the new updates to the game. I'm sure you're all eager to hear about those. I will make videos covering many of them here on my channel, but what I will say for now is that these are my first impressions. I'm still learning about each of them, and these will not... this live stream is not by any stretch of the imagination a tutorial, nor will it replace a tutorial. But let's talk about them. So, as I mentioned earlier, and as I've been showing you with my food production here, my account is really behind in a lot of ways. I'm not sure if the game is having trouble. Might have to exit out and reload it. It's being very slow. There we go. Anyways, my account has fallen behind in a lot of ways, specifically a lot of ways related to food production. So my build items have never been that great. Of course, build items have been in the game for a long time, but Goodgame Studios has been adding more and more powerful food storage and food production build items to the game, and I haven't been collecting them at the rate necessary to keep up. So that could turn out to be a bit of a problem in the future. I'm also not caught up with private resource villages. I've been somewhat active, I was somewhat active in January when I made a lot of videos, and to some extent February, but then I went somewhat inactive in March, I came back in April, and I've been inactive since. And of course, 2019 has really been the time when resource village tokens have been available in the game. And so, I don't have a whole lot, and I don't have private resource villages. They, of course, produce more food, and so I'm working on collecting those. Let's see. In my other castles, I have a guardhouse, surprisingly enough, and I also have a fire station, which I don't have in my second outpost. So I'm going to leave these blank for now. That's where they would ordinarily go, however. So I don't have private RVs, I don't have the best build items. Since I've been gone for a lot of 2019, I don't have relic greenhouses. Well, I have 4 of them, but most people have completed that by now, at least people who are active in the game. And so my food production is suffering. In the past few days that I have been active, I've gone through all of my castles and I have rearranged things. I've taken build items off, put them back on better buildings with higher workload. That has contributed to my food production rising already, but I'm doubling down with the new Samurai Invasion. I'm participating in the events. If I show you my weekly ranking for loot, I'm top 29 with 50 million, and it is currently a Wednesday, so pretty proud of that. The past 2 weeks I hit 70 million by the end of the week. Of course, it's harder to loot, for me at least, when events like the foreign invasion show up. I don't get as much resources from them, but we'll see how I do this week. Anyways, point is, I'm working hard on my account, and I'm working to prepare my account to make some more videos for you later this month. And a lot of those videos will be about the very subjects that I'm working on now, such as the Relic Greenhouse. Well, probably not that one. I think I covered that in a previous monthly update. But maybe some of the other Relic buildings, like the Armory, which was just added, and the Relicus, which is very exciting, was just added. It's the Technicus for Relic equipment, although it's very expensive. I have bought it at my main castle. In fact, why don't I abandon this project for just a moment? I need to build a whole bunch more granaries to get it to look like, for example, Food 3. Let me just show you that. And then I'll show you the Relicus. I have not upgraded any Relic equipment yet. In fact, I don't have a whole lot of Relic equipment because, once again, I've been missing from the game. So I'm going to have to look into that. It apparently requires a PhD to understand all of this stuff. So those of you who have been asking me to make a video about it, I will, but I have to learn first. Let me see, what's a good piece for upgrading? Apparently, can you upgrade heroes? Cool. And can you upgrade gems? Cool. I actually don't know if I like that, because this is promising to be expensive. The other problem is that because I've been missing and because I don't have a whole lot of experience with Relic commanders, I don't know what is a good piece of Relic equipment. I imagine this is good, right? It has melee, ranged, and melee. So I guess we can experiment with this. Of course, experimenting is a silly word because it's going to get expensive quick. It requires not only coins, at the higher levels, millions of coins, for like a 20% chance of upgrading a piece of equipment successfully, but it also requires relic shards, which I don't have any of. Let me show you how you can get a few of those, although once again, this video is not going to be a tutorial. What is a good piece to sell? That's another great question, because all of these pieces seem like they make terrific commanders. I suppose I could go into Castellan equipment, look at gems. NPC gems for Castellans, I can't really see. Well, I guess now with the new Samurai invasion, they'd be useful as well, because you're prompting attacks on your castles. Of course, with the Khan invasion, you're doing the same thing, so those might actually be worth holding on to. All of these pieces look fantastic. Alright, we've got to find something to sell, right? Gate mode and gate. It's got 2 stars, 1 star, 2 stars. Doesn't look like the best, although I have no idea what the stars mean either. So let's go ahead and sell this. Could be selling terrific equipment on the stream, I don't know. And then I think we need to sell one more piece of equipment. Gate, resources looted, and wall. That seems fine to sell. There we go. Does that give us enough resources to upgrade a piece of equipment? Specifically, was it this one? Yep. Okay. I imagine it will work just like the Technicus. There you go. How exciting. So we got slightly better stats out of that. And but the problem is, if you upgrade this 5 times and it starts to cost 2 million coins and you've got a 10% chance of success, then is it going to be worth it to get 0.1% melee combat strength, 0.1% ranged combat strength, 0.1% melee combat strength? And the answer is, I can't imagine it will be worth it. Maybe, if Goodgame Studios changes the values of coins that we loot from NPC targets, it will be worth it, but in lieu of that, I mean, this is the highest number of coins I've ever had, and I'm sure that with the Relicus, you could spend this in an evening. Again, if upgrades are costing 2 million coins apiece. So, Goodgame Studios will, as I said, really have to inflate the value of coins by letting us loot a whole lot more from NPC targets, samurai, nomads, etc., and then upgrading at the Relicus could be worth it, but for now, I might ignore it in favor of focusing on other things, like, for example, the new Daimyo add-on to the Samurai Invasion, and all of the Relic upgrades that I have to perform with my account. Now that I think about it, I think that's all that I'm doing with my account, so I've answered that question. I mentioned earlier in this live stream my Discord server, and in fact, there's a link in the video description if you'd like to join it. You might also like to rejoin it, because I wanted to talk about an incident that occurred with my Discord server. We had a moderator go rogue and ban 400 people from the server for no reason. That was pretty frustrating. Of course, I revoked the bans and I sent out invites to the people who were wrongly affected by that. But because Discord only allows you to contact people who are already in your server or who you are friends with on Discord, a lot of people, I'm sure, missed the fact that they accidentally were removed. So if that's you, you should check the description of this video. You'll find a link to rejoin the server, and I hope you do so. The reason that 400 people were banned and that moderator was unhappy was because we actually removed some people from the server who were pretty immature, probably pretty young, and were making the server a really difficult place for people who actually play Empire to enjoy. So we've removed that. We're a little bit more strict now with our moderation policies, which means that our server is much more focused on the game, and I think that if you are also focused on the game, you could enjoy it. So please, go check it out. But that is as much self-advertising as I plan to do for today. So this stream has been going on for long enough. I think that I've addressed enough of your questions and concerns, although if you are watching live and you want to ask me a question, I can see the chat right now, so feel free to do that and I will try to answer them. The one other thing that I wanted to talk about, though, was future videos, and just giving you an idea of when those videos will appear on the channel. I'm not sure what I'll do with this live stream, whether I will leave it up as a live stream or whether I will take it down and then cut it into pieces, right? We could do a piece about the server war, a piece about why I've been gone, a piece about speculation about the newest updates to the game, and we could upload them separately. In fact, I might do that. Or it might just appear in full. I'll decide after I stop streaming. But so you'll have videos from this, and then later on in August, after I've made some significant upgrades to my account, I will return with some tutorials. As I mentioned earlier, when I took my break, I didn't really miss the game so much. I do enjoy it from time to time, but there are other things that I'm passionate about. What I really missed was making videos, and so it makes sense that I would diversify my content. One of the reasons that I did come back, didn't stop making Goodgame Empire videos, is because earlier on this year I made a channel update in which I promised to continue making Goodgame Empire content for all of 2019, so why not fulfill on that promise? But also, I said in that video that I would diversify my content. I'll be making more tutorials about other games. I did that with one video, Grim Dawn, and it was actually one of the most successful, actually it was the most successful video on my channel in 2019 to date. So that is a strong indicator that I need to diversify, make videos about other things that I enjoy. I imagine that the side effect will be that making videos will be more fun, and I will actually make more content overall, including more Empire videos. So everyone should have a reason to celebrate. But to be clear, I'm not stopping with Goodgame Empire videos in 2019. I'll keep doing it as long as you guys keep watching. So, let me take a look at the chat here. It's actually on a different computer. I have a fancy setup. Are you guys recruiting? The Unforgiven is recruiting. So if you are interested in joining us, if you are on the United States 1 server, message our recruiters. Because I get so many messages asking me about what alliances people should join, I don't give recommendations anymore, and so please don't contact me for that, but go straight to our recruiters if you qualify. We'd be glad to have you, because we've been trying to get as many active players as we can. Talk about the fight team versus the Unforgiven war. It was a war that occurred, was a few days long, was declared for reasons that I didn't really find out about in full, but it was not really a significant war. Can you get back an old account? Probably, certainly if your account has gone to ruins and been deleted, you cannot. You can reclaim the same account name, and if you purchased rubies, your account should never have been deleted. But if it was, your rubies might still be in your account, but all of your progress has been lost, is my understanding. Do I think university is worth it? Well, it depends on how you use your degree, of course. I'm getting a philosophy degree, so maybe not in my case, but I plan to go to law school, and hopefully I can make big bucks once I'm out in the real world. We'll see. Certainly for many people, university is not going to be worth it. If you are interested in getting into a trade, then do that. I've heard people here at my college tell me that they want to become an electrician, or they want to be an entrepreneur. And the question that I feel compelled to ask them, but normally don't, is why are you here? You do not need to come to a liberal arts college to become an electrician or an entrepreneur. Anyways, guys, I think I'm rambling at this point. I hope that I answered your questions. Thank you very much for sticking with the channel, for coming back, watching this live stream after I've been gone for, let's see, a month and a half. Means a lot. I appreciate it, and thank you. So with that, I'm going to wrap up the stream today. Hope you enjoyed it. Goodbye.